We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Now, that's from our Declaration of Principles in Center for Spiritual Living. It was written by our founder, Ernest Holmes, to go in the very first Science of Mind magazine, the very first issue, almost 90 years ago. Now, it goes on, and there's lots more to it, but today's topic is one self-existent cause. So look at the world around us. Look outside at the beauty. Look inside. There's so much beauty, so much intelligence, so much wonder, and so much awe. And it is absolutely undeniable that all of this had to be created by something intelligent, something really intelligent. Here are some things that our founder Ernest Holmes wrote. By the self-existence of the universe is meant a universe which is its own reason for being. A universe which exists by virtue of itself being all. An absolute and self-existent cause, then, means that principle, that power, and that presence which makes everything out of itself, and which contains and sustains everything within itself. The whole basis of spiritual science lies in the concept that the universe is self-existent, self-energizing, self-propelling, self-knowing, and self-acting, and that everything that is takes place in one infinite self. So what? Okay, so we're all part of God. We're all part of this universe. We're all part of this thing that is somehow self-existent, but so what? As humans, we want to know how this is going to affect our lives, our individual lives. What does it have to do with making ends meet financially? What does it have to do with getting along with coworkers or family and friends? What does this self-existent thing have to do with my life and making me happy and joyful? Again, from Ernest Holmes. In the beginning, God conceived or thought substance. God then thought upon this substance and made form. This substance was within God, for where else could God go for this substance when there was nothing but God? God thought this substance, and it was made. God thought upon itself and produced all that is. So we're said to be made in the image and likeness of our Creator, our divine Creator. And that means that all of the attributes, all of the qualities of the divine are also in us in possibility. Anything that we know of that is a quality of the divine: love, joy, beauty, intelligence, compassion, all of it is available to us. And we have to choose to express them and choose to embody them. Because otherwise, they're just kind of out there and they're potential. We can use them, but unless we choose to, they don't get used. So here are a couple of questions. Do you really believe that you are made of this divine stuff? That you're made of the essence and that all of the qualities of God are available to you? I mean, if we believe in this one thing, if we believe that it's available to us, then how are we going to live our lives this week? going to choose? What words? What actions? How will we open our hearts? You can try it. You can try claiming and embodying it. Say you want more peace in the world, in your family, in your workplace, in the whole world. You can remind yourself over and over again throughout the day and say, I am a place of divine peace. I bring divine peace to this world. Peace is any words that work for you. Any words that work for you. And say you would like to have more loving interactions with the people in your world. Once again, by reminding yourself again and again throughout the day, I am a place where love lives. I am here to give and receive love. Do this about a dozen times a day and see what happens. I mean, we can try this. We can use these teachings as something practical and personal. Here's something else Ernest Holmes said. To inquire why life is useless. For life is self-existent, and all of the science, wit, and art of man can never fathom that which is self-existent. Since we are, we must have evolved from or become manifested in that which is. We're not so much interested in why we are as what we are. Now, when I read this, we're not so interested in why we are as what we are. I started thinking of butterflies and bees. And what I know is that butterflies and bees are really important as pollinators. I mean, they're just incredibly important. And yet, I really doubt if the butterflies and bees think that. I really doubt if they're aware of the fact that they're performing an important service to life. So, next slide, please. Beautiful flowers. Imagine for a moment that we are all butterflies and bees. Here's this big field of wildflowers. Now, what do you think? You think that as butterflies and bees, we are standing here saying, oh, my important job is to pollinate all of these things so they can make more seeds so there will be flowers next year. I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, if I were a butterfly or a bee, I think this is what I'd be thinking. Wow, look at all these flowers. Oh, this one looks yummy. I need some of that pollen. And look over there, there's a blue one. I love blue. Oh. You know, I think that I would just be out there feasting on the pollen and the beauty and the nectar. Feasting on life without a thought that there's a higher possibility, a higher purpose going on. They're just doing what they've come here to do. They're being who they've come here to be. And that's what we are here to do and be as well. So I think that their higher purpose is absolutely just out of their consciousness. Now, what if our higher purpose, what if the why is so far beyond our comprehension that we don't have a clue either? And we tend to think as humans that we know it all. We know all there is to be known. We know the reasons. We know the processes. We know everything. But we can't. I don't think we can know our higher purpose any more than the bees and the butterflies. Because this is a huge system and we can't see the whole system from within the system. We have no way of getting outside of it. But there are some things we know. We do know we are part of something bigger. And because as humans we have intelligence, we can use our God-given brains, there are some folks, like Ernest Holmes, our founder, who have looked and ferreted out the spiritual principles that we can use to live by. Dr. Holmes, along with other wise men and women, spoke about the law of attraction, how we live in a reciprocal universe, how we draw into our experience people and situations and opportunities and connections that match the energies that we put out. Put out love, get love back. We know that peace begets peace. Violence begets violence. And we know that when we share joy, it is multiplied and returned to us. And Dr. Holmes and other wise men and women talked and wrote about how thoughts become things. I mean, that's our big teaching in Science of Mind. Thoughts become things, how we get more of what we think about. If we dwell on not having enough, the universe gives us more. More, that is, of not having enough. Okay? If we're dwelling on not enough, we get more not enough. Of course, if the predominance of our thought is, life is good and I have all I need, that is what the universe is going to show back to us. It's like the universe is a big yes machine. Whatever we think about, it says yes. If we think about our abundance, the universe says, yes, I will show that to you. If we think that we're unlovable, the universe is going to say yes to that too. And we will draw to ourselves opportunities, relationships, situations that prove what we believe, even if it's that I'm unlovable. And so, as the universe keeps saying yes, we have the opportunity, we have the responsibility to choose what we're going to think, to absolutely choose what we are going to think. Now, certainly we have these amazing monkey minds, and there are old tapes that run through our head. But if we can stop ourselves in the middle of thoughts like, oh, this will never work out. Oh, I'm not going to get this job. I'm always unlucky. If we have thoughts like that, if we can stop those thoughts, recognize them as gifts, as opportunities to choose something else, then we can absolutely say, wait a minute, that's not my truth. My highest truth is that I am abundant. My highest truth is that I live in a family and in a world of peace. And if we keep hanging on to those positive things in our minds, that's what we will get more of. And of course, it's about the predominance of our thoughts. So a question. If it's true that your predominant thoughts are going to make a difference in what you experience this week, what, if anything, are you going to do about it? Are you going to choose to use it? It's up to each of us. We are a choice. Now, I've been talking a lot about God, and I want to back up and remind you that when I talk about God, when I use the word God, which some folks are not too crazy about, I am absolutely not talking about the old guy in the sky with a beard, the one that is judging us, the one that is saying, that is like a big powerful parent or Santa Claus who knows what's right and wrong and wants us, to follow it. That's not what I'm talking about when I use the term God or Spirit. I'm talking about the life essence that just wants to live and express. It is here as each of us, breathing us, beating our hearts, having experiences that it can have in, through, and as us that it can't have through anybody else. This is the part of the one self-existent cause. Even though we have a lot of choices in our lives, we are not the ones that actually choose whether we're alive or not. We're not the ones that have the power to create life, to create consciousness. But we get to use it. So when I talk about God, I'm talking about this bigger thing, this thing that is so big that we can't really have words for it. And so with this idea that the universe is reciprocal, these ideas that the universe is reciprocal, and that our thoughts create a reality, we get to choose. Totally a choice. Every day, in everything we do. We get to choose if somebody cuts us off in traffic. We can get upset, flip them what has been called the New York peace sign. Let it ruin our drive, let it ruin our day, or we can decide to bless the person, to let it go, and to go on enjoying our drive and enjoying our day. We are absolutely a choice. And if I have a setback, or an illness, or a loss, which we all have at times, I have a choice there too. I can decide to beat up on myself and say, oh, what was I thinking that caused this? Oh, what was I thinking that made this happen? Or I can have compassion for myself. I can do everything I can to make the situation better. And I can absolutely just bless it and know that there are answers, that there are also ways that I can look for the beauty and the joy in each day. Because it is not what happens to us in life that determines our joy and our happiness. It's how we respond. Okay, let's say together. It's not what happens in my life.
It's not what happens in my life.
It's how I respond.
It's how I respond.
Yeah. Reminds me of a chicken soup for the soul story called The Reset Button. So in the story, Pamela Gilson tells about her co-worker Jan, who spends much of her time in an electric wheelchair. A few years back, a public bus door grabbed Jan's leg, wouldn't let go. She ended up having it amputated above the knee, and her life changed drastically, as we all can imagine. Pamela, the co-worker, said, as long as I have worked with Jan, I've had a hard time understanding how she keeps such a good attitude with what has happened to her. Pamela says, one particularly stressful day, we were working together in customer service. Jan's really good at what she does, and people love to work with her. But this day, the customers couldn't be satisfied. There were complaints and complaints and complaints. Finally, when there was a break in the complaints, Jan said she would be gone for a few minutes to use the reset button. Now, Pamela says, I didn't know what she was talking about, but she zoomed off in her electric wheelchair. Now, it wasn't very long before Jan came back with a smile on her face. Noticing my puzzled look, she asked what I was thinking. Well, you said you were going to use the reset button, and then you came back with a smile on your face like it hasn't been an awful morning. Jan says the reset button is my way of saying that I need to stop and reassess things, count my blessings, and realize I have a lot to be grateful for. I needed to adjust my attitude to reality, not just the few hours this morning that were miserable. It makes my life go much, much better. And then Jan zoomed in closer to Pamela and said, it's lucky the reset button never sticks, because sometimes I need to really use it a lot. Jan knew that it's not what happens to us that makes a difference in the quality of our lives, but it's the response that we have. It's the way we perceive it. It's what we choose to do with it. So please feel free to test the idea of the reset button during this week, and let me know how it goes, because I suspect it's going to work for any of us that try it. Each of us is unique. We're drawn to different ways of being, different ways of perceiving, different ways of navigating in the world. And each of us is needed. Just like the bees and the butterflies and each of the flowers are needed, in order for this universe to be complete, we are needed, for Spirit has chosen to express as each of us. So I want you to know that your gifts and talents are needed in this world. Your unique way of being, your way of listening to people, your way of making music, your way of serving the world, your way of shining. All that you bring is needed in this world. And you are an amazing part, an amazing expression of that one self-existent cause that is eternal, that is love, that is joy, that is all we could ever imagine. That's what you are. Let's take that into prayer. I invite practitioners and practitioner students to stand with me in high consciousness. Here we are, in the midst of this one self-existent cause. The one self-existent cause that has created the beauty that surrounds us, that is the very life that we live, that is the intelligence that we use, that is all that is. I absolutely know that we have no concept of how big this God thing is. We have no concept of just how limitless it is. And yet I know that anything we can imagine is possible in this universe. Anything that we can imagine is being imagined in the mind of God, for that's the mind we use. There's only one of us here, just God, just Spirit, just that divine intelligence, just that one source, just that one creative power. It's who and what I am. It's who and what each person here is. What we have come here to express and to shine. And so I know that as we go forth in our week, whatever we need to know or remember is known and remembered for us to move forward into our greatest yet to be. I claim that each path is filled with love, is filled with support, is filled with resources, is filled with all that is needed for us to be the most joyful expressions of God that we can be. I know that all of the resources in the universe are here to support us. That as we work in our families, as we work in our workplaces, as we work in the world, we are blessed. All that we do is blessed. All that we are is supported by love. So I know that we go forth into this week just supported with all that we need. All that we need. And it is in great, great gratitude that I release this into that part of the spirit that we call the law, the part that has all the stuff and all the know-how that can bring absolutely anything into manifestation. We let it do what it does. We let God be God. We simply say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.
So it is.
All right. This is titled Oneness, this song. I met the singer, Dottie Pyatt, the musician.